People, let me tell you about my best
I've
friend.
got to try to make up for
Do
not
it.
John not being here.
Yeah, you have to do the overbite.
I'm not a dancer, but I'll try to
I,
channel John a little bit.
I just appreciate you so much. It was so funny last night as I was going through pictures and I found a picture of us from God, it was like 2013. Which was weird because I was like, oh, I should find one from like 10 years ago. And then I could go before that. Oh,
Was
what?
it the higher conf one where you're rolling your eyes at me on stage?
I'm sorry. I apologized. I apologize. I'm sure you said
The one
something.
where people realized how well you really knew me, just like.
I'm sure you said something like, we're glad for you to be here. And I was like, boy,
So how's it going?
you know, we made it through Snowmageddon. It's a little out of control. How are you doing? No, you've got much more exciting things going on in general.
Just family's good. I got, you know, two kids getting married this year, and I have a grandbaby already from my married kid, and so I'm living the empty nester grandpa phase of life.
Listen,
So, but all is good.
I was gonna play Grandpa by isn't that Reba? Grandpa.
Tell me
Tell
about the
me
good old
about the
days. Yeah,
good
yeah.
old days.
Yeah, we did the have kids early and then scramble at 50 to, get back ahead, so we're that phase of
I
life, but everybody's good.
I look at that for those who are in the audience and don't know. Jeremy, I love Jeremy always says before there was Jackie and John, there was Jackie and Jeremy. We've been friends for so long. When we met, our kids are very close in age. They were like in sixth grade, and now we got married. We've got one in New York. We've got, you know, various, oh, and I like this comment from Joe. John looks like John. Well,
I am what did I tell Jamie when he let me in? They had put my picture over John. I was like, you just gave me like 5 extra inches in height, and my shoulders are about 4 inches broader in the photo. So that's great. I'm equally bald. Um, I I have about half the empathy of John. So for those who come looking for the really sensitive side of John, I'm a lot more sarcastic. I care about people as much, but you probably don't feel it as much as you will with John, just being self-aware. So,
oh, that's funny. No, well, no, let me tell you, when if we are at a conference, I've been at many conferences with Jeremy, I've been at many conferences with John, and Jeremy walks twice as fast. He talks while he's walking twice as fast. So you have to really kind of go really fast and get kind of in front of him. And it doesn't matter where you are, New York City, San Francisco, San Diego. I'm like, slow down, Well, yeah, while
well, you
John's
got to get
trying to
there.
talk to everybody, and Jeremy will just be like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" and he'll be gone, but he'll catch up.
John hugs a lot more too.
That that is really true.
John's one of those huggers that scratches your back for like 5 seconds too.
I
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not a hugger.
He
I'm
draws
not
you in.
really a hugger. Yeah.
I no, I don't think no, not a hugger, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I thought like what's funny is talking about the topic. I thought it was really funny because we've worked at so many companies, some of which I think we had a deep feeling of loyalty.
Yep.
Others were maybe learned a lesson from being so deep in loyalty and change
Mhm.
and worked at places that we would never have loyalty. And I think they, they knew going in that that might not have been a loyalty feeling. But I think work has changed a billion percent as far as what people feel as like what their dedication is and what the loyalty they should have to their organizations. And I think it's hard and confusing. Uh oh.
I like that.
Where did that come from?
I don't know, but it's Bobby McFerrin.
It is Bobby
I
McFerrin.
remember when that song came out, I lived in Omaha, Nebraska. I was in 6th grade, and my music teacher loved it.
So you
And I
had to
loved it
to
because I
follow.
remember we were in a blizzard the first day she played it, and I was like, "This is like island vibes," you
Everybody
know? And
loves. Everybody loved it.
yeah, no, it was really good.
So tell me, what do you think about like loyalty now or fulfillment? Like the difference between fulfillment of a job and loyalty. What do you think?
I don't know. Those words kind of it's interesting because they're not against each other, but they're not always together. They kind of there's so for loyalty, I have felt loyalty because people took care of me individually. I have felt loyalty because um people defended me, people supported me, people didn't throw me under the bus. And I felt loyalty at organizations where I was completely underpaid. And then on the opposite end, I've been at completely unfulfilling jobs and been loyal because they paid me so darn much. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I've been in environments where I was loyal and my wife was like, "We really should look at something else." And I was like, "No, but the culture, they're so good to me, and but they weren't paying me very well." And then on the alternative, like I said, I've had jobs where I it wasn't fulfilling and I felt like I needed medication because it was so boring. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it was like I needed to focus and I couldn't, so I just sat and drank coffee so I
Right.
could do menial tasks all day and get my big check, right?
Right.
So no, I have been loyal for all kinds of different reasons, not always fulfillment,
Well,
if that makes sense.
Jamie reminded me that I should have you introduce yourself for people who may not know, which might be five of our millions of fans. But do you want to give you an intro of yourself?
Yeah. So my name's Jeremy Roberts. I started in recruiting in like 2001, and like everybody, I just kind of fell into it. I was a young married guy who I taught for a year, and then I was a financial advisor. And by financial advisor, I sold life insurance, like most of them still do, right? And so I remember one night I was sitting across the table from a couple, and this guy, he had really similar skills to me, but it was like 9 p.m. and I was at his kitchen table selling him something. And I was like, I really wish I was at my kitchen table and had excess money for somebody to sell me something. So I started asking him what he did for a living. He was a recruiter at a physician search firm. And like I said, really similar skills to me. And so fast forward, he hired me at his physician search firm in 2001. So then I went into recruiting, and then just gradually I was in the agency world for like 8 or 9 years, and then I went into corporate recruiting, and then I was the editor of SourceCon, was kind of where I started to get to know Jackie and everybody else in this industry. I kind of left my cave of just recruiting and got to know a lot of people as the editor of SourceCon. I did that from like 2013 to 2016, and that was one of my favorite times professionally, just kind of talking about recruiting technology, and sourcing was super manual at that point. And then in 2013, I went to Hiring Solved and started their customer success function. And so I did that for, I guess, 3.5, 4 years, and then we got acquired by Allegis. And then since then, I've done a mix of recruiting technology and then recruiting leadership. For a bit, I was like, I want to go back in and manage teams because I hadn't done it in a while, and I wanted to see if I'd be good at it. I was pretty good at it. I went back, and so I was my last recruiting leadership job. I had a team of about 100 at JP Morgan. I say about 100 because it fluctuated depending on the time of year. It went 80 to 100 is kind of where we would be. And I did that for about 2.5 years. It was a team of 100 sourcers globally. And so I had people in India, Asia, built a team of about 20 in Argentina. So anyway, and I left there in March, like a lot of you, kind of got hit with a big change. And
Yeah.
then, like a lot of people at our stage of the game, I started talking to people, and they were like, I started calling all these people I considered peers, and I was like, "What are you doing? I'm about to be on the market." And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, me too. I haven't updated LinkedIn, but I haven't worked in 5 months. I'm looking for a job, right?" And so I quickly realized, I was like, you know what? There aren't a lot of jobs, and I don't want to compete with these people who I view as mentors and peers. So I'm just going to start a consulting firm. So I started a consulting firm in April of last year, and my first client was like, by the way, it was really fun. I had 3 or 4 clients, and I had a really successful summer. But my biggest client hired me to vet all of the AI interview solutions on the market, and so that took me about 3 months. It was Dollar Tree, and worked for Dollar Tree vetting all the AI interview solutions. Made my final recommendation, and then after making the recommendation, I turned the tables and asked that company for a job. So now I'm doing customer success work for Tenzo, which is an AI interviewing platform. So that's my long kind of professional journey between recruiting technology and recruiting. So I just
That's
kind
a
of
really slow
have
elevator.
have yeah, a really slow elevator. It's a big building. So I've kind of bounced around between HR tech and recruiting tech, and um actual being a practitioner over the last 15 years. So it's been fun.
And what's really funny, like we met during the ERE SourceCon days. At that point, I was working at for ERE for a TLNT, which is not there anymore, and then later went on to like the competitor Recruiting Daily. And it was so interesting because at the time, like we didn't really know each other, but we were competing for the same job, and they like wanted to hire both of us. Since then, we've worked together so many times. I always think, Jeremy's still worried that I'm going to be the number two like interviewer, so we just end up working together at
We
some.
do. We just bring each other in. Yeah, we just bring each other in when there's something interesting. And it's funny. Someday I might report to you, one day you might report
That's
to
right.
me. We just kind of take care of each other as the deals come in. So,
It's the trust, and I think that's the difference. Like you can't have the loyalty without the trust. And so when you feel or fulfillment, really, like if you and it's funny to hear about thinking about hindsight. Oh, I felt really fulfilled, but they don't have the money and they can't pay me.
mhm.
But this is the work that I really want to do. Or, you have these various options, but the drive, I think the challenge right now in talent is that people aren't sure what would be fulfilling. And also, there's such a lot of people moving to organizations just for whatever it's the title or opportunities. Like we're not seeing organizations have that same we're not seeing the classic like orientation for 3 weeks where everybody's in a room and they're getting training at the
They're
company.
getting hyped up.
Yeah, remember where you like learned the mission, you had to like eat it, and you had like
Yeah,
a cohort of people going through
yeah.
through that.
Okay, so here's something like when you sent me the topic, you said loyalty and fulfillment at work. I'm going to be honest. The first thing that comes to my mind right now in this economy at my stage of life is, luckily right now I am very fulfilled and I'm very loyal. I work with people I completely trust, and I'm very fulfilled, like with the mental challenges that I'm working through every day and the problems I'm solving. It's awesome. So I'm good. But I don't really think that in this economy I don't have enough money in the bank to
Mm,
really make any sort of decision on loyalty and fulfillment. My loyalty is to my family, and they require a certain amount of money every month.
right,
And so the fulfillment piece, and I think there might be a lot of people in this situation right now, the fulfillment piece is a nice to have. It's not a must have. Like in this economy where the number of people doing our job is shrinking, A lot of us are having to do fractional work. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to find money, not necessarily fulfillment.
Oof.
It's great if they
Oh,
align. It's
you're
great if they
so right,
align.
though.
Well, it's great if they align,
Right,
obviously,
right.
but it's kind of an entitled thing right now to like this just isn't fulfilling. And it's like, okay, what are you gonna do? I
Yeah,
mean, do you have a lot of options? Like, it's not like we're all sitting there with four things and we get to,
right,
that one looks more fulfilling. It's like most people are just trying to pay the bills.
right.
So I don't know. That was my first thought when I saw it. Is like, I want all of those things, but I can't be fulfilled if my family isn't taken care of.
I mean,
And
fulfillment is
so,
like not being homeless. Like it's not being evicted. It's being able to eat.
hmm
I both of us. It's interesting when you do know somebody where you consider each other peers of where you go financially or where you're going with your kids at the same stages of life. It's interesting thinking about fulfillment and then thinking as our adult children are in the workforce,
hmm
what are they looking for? I mean, I just like, so my oldest was went to Amazon, worked at Amazon. They graduated with a math degree. They did that for a year. Then they started modeling full time because, as one does when they're 22 and live in New York City,
yeah.
um, and look like that. Like that's what
I
you
was
do.
gonna say, and it looked like clay. Like,
Yeah, and
let's,
look like
yeah.
actually look like a model. Um, Modeled for a long time, and then it's like as one does, started like hostessing at a restaurant. Talked to somebody recently who has a software company, works at the went to the restaurant, owns the software company that does the back end software, and is now like talking about becoming a developer for that company. Like,
hmm
because it's like, what's the fulfillment versus the loyalty of looking at all of those things. And I love what you said because that is,
Well, Clay's a perfect example
yeah,
of a person who didn't have a lot to support at home, so could walk away from something not fulfilling to do something less financially obvious. Do you know what I'm saying? Like without the guarantees, right? And so yeah, that's a great example of somebody who can kind of make that decision. And then like I see a lot of people talking about the return to office movement,
yeah,
right? And it's I'm sitting in my home office right now. Like I'm very productive at home. I don't know that I always would have been productive without having learned everything that I learned around people.
right.
Um, so, but me personally, I love working at home, but I would never be, I would never not have a job out of principle. Like,
Mm,
do you know what I'm saying? Like people who are saying right now, I won't take a job unless it's working at a home.
right.
They have a bigger bank account than me, or they have a job they're really already real comfortable in
Or a
that's at
partner that
home. You
has
know what
those,
I'm saying? Like I
right.
it just like it just seemed like while I know that that's an important thing to people, it's not like we can all just sit and pick our jobs anymore.
Yeah.
We don't get to just choose right now. So it's just really bold when I hear people say, "No, I need to be working home and I won't take a job." It's like, well, if you don't have one and you don't want one, that's fine. But
Yes,
not everybody can think that way.
I think another example of that, people know I have a poop scoop business. Somebody came up to Todd and asked him if he could um, scoop for, I'm in TJ's room, by the way. Um,
hmm
so asked Todd if he would scoop for their horse. And he was like, horse? And they were like, well, I mean, it's poop, like you pick up poop. So like, are you saying like
I
you're too
think that
good for
smells
horse
better
poop?
than dog poo too, by the
Absolutely.
way. I've done both. It actually smells better than dog poop.
But
So,
yes. But it was funny because he's like, well, I'm in my yes phase because I was telling him as we're new entrepreneurs, business owners, we're in the yes phase. Like, what do you need? What do I need
yeah.
to be able to do that? And I think sometimes,
Yeah, I would just stop at human. I would
yeah,
just stop at human.
right,
Everything else is a yes for now
that's
until
it.
we scale.
That's absolutely it. And looking at I just think it's different. Um, of course, work changes and as innovation changes and all of those things change. And it's just not like our parents. Where my mom worked at Neiman Marcus for close to 30 years,
Wow.
and what was interesting, she started when I was 10 years old, and she never had a job before. She never had a job. She had my
What
sister.
department?
She started in merchandising. Wait, retail. She
Corporate. Corporate.
corporate, yeah, corporate.
Okay.
But she started tagging clothes, and she brought one home. Those guns, literally taking clothes out of bags, tagging them with the price, which blows my mind. That yeah, people used to do that by hand, and some still do. Um, Later went up and bought. By the time she left, like worked in the buying department um,
Mm-hmm.
at Neiman Marcus. But I haven't heard. When's the last time you talked to somebody who's worked at an organization over 7 years?
Right. No, it just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen
And
anymore.
my
Yeah.
dad worked at IBM before becoming a pastor. But like when he did all of those things, he started at IBM and was just a company person. You used to hear about the company person,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think we are seeing that.
Well, after I did work at a large bank where there were tons of people who had been there
Oh, sure.
20, 30 years, right? What's interesting when you're implementing software and you're implementing new technologies and kind of rethinking the world of work, sometimes when you walk into a room with a bunch of 20-year people at a company, it's like, not really, this is not going to be my risk takers. You
Absolutely
know what
not.
I'm saying? Like here we go, so it's like kudos to those people who have done it. And there are a select few who can stay at a company 20 years and be revolutionary and kind of bring new ideas and
Hard.
really transform. But oftentimes you end up with people who are they ride the waves, you know what I'm saying, really well, and they don't like take a lot of risk. So I'm always excited when I meet one who is a risk taker, you know what I'm saying, who's ready to kind of shake things up and make some tough decisions. So yeah, it's interesting. Like we used to, like you said, like my dad was with the same company for 25 years, and then he went somewhere else for 10,
Yeah.
and went to a competitor for the last 10, so
But
I don't know.
I think about, I've been, of course, like interviewing, and I think the longer you're, I think the longer that you're looking, like there's some things that get really easier to decision. Like maybe you pull back on some of the benefits, or you pull back on the salary requirements. You can pull back on some of those things. Um, but I interviewed with a company, and they said that they this role reported to the CEO, and they wanted somebody to work with the company culture, and change the company culture. And I said, how long um, have they been at the organization? And they're like 20 years. And I was like, and how long did their boss work for the organization? Like, how long did they report to the CEO? How long did they work with that CEO?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, 20 years. I was like, you you have to fire them. You're not going to have enough company culture. It's like default,
Yeah.
just what you know. People are like pain averse, and the fact you could try to company culture, but as soon as things get really busy, you're in the McDonald's line again. Like you just like those. That's the way those things work, I think. And but there is like table stakes. I like what Jerry. Then Jerry, thanks for being here. I
I know,
appreciate
I was just looking at his comment.
it. Like Maslow's hierarchy, the hierarchy of needs is relevant for most younger professionals. Kids in schools question what they see as the future. I mean, we talk all the time. Me and my executive producer Todd met. We were waiting tables, but we both were in our own apartments where you could be a waiter and have enough money to pay your rent. I don't think a lot
Mhm.
of kids have that now, where it's like they have to do something else, work 2 or 3 jobs.
No. I have an interesting thought on that, and I know this isn't popular because we got people striking for fair wages and stuff, but I have kids 19, 21, 25, right? And um, my 19-year-old got a job, and he's like, "Dad, they're giving me benefits, 20 bucks an hour, and all these things." And I was like, "That's good, but it's just enough to hold you there." It's like I don't want him able to get his own place
Right,
and live well with a crappy job. Do you know what I'm
right.
saying? Like I want him to like pursue certifications or education or something more comprehensive. By the way, he's in fire academy doing his EMT and his paramedic training. He just finished fire academy. So he's taking that route, right? And then my first fear was like that job's too comfortable. I think it's going to slow down him getting his paramedic training and all these things cuz it's like so yeah, so I don't know. I have an interesting take on that because it's like I do think people should have a fair wage, but I also don't want my kid having a fair wage before they find something that is going to be a true career. You know what I'm saying? I want them to be motivated to kind of go to that next level, right? And I have another friend. He was telling me, it's like, darn it. I was like, what? And he goes, my son got promoted to kitchen manager at the restaurant. And I was like, well, that's cool. And he goes, yeah, he's gonna drop out of school now because he thinks
Right.
he's made
Never
it,
gonna leave.
right? Yeah,
Right.
and so yeah, I have an interesting perspective on that. But yeah, it is. So I love the comment on Maslow's hierarchy, and that kind of goes to what I think that was probably brought in when I was talking earlier about, you've got to take care of your family before you
Right.
can. So for me, if I had to break it down, like once my financial needs are met and I'm at an income level to where my family is okay and I can just focus on work. And what I mean by that is I can focus on one job without having any sort of side hustles, whether it's a poop business like yours or a side hustle in talent acquisition, right? Like
Yeah.
if I've got my income down so I can just focus on one job, like what then becomes important to me, trusting the CEO, being behind the mission of the organization, um, really a job where I'm thinking through intellectual problems
Yeah.
every day, right? And then working with smart people who want to improve their own organizations, right? And for me, I also if I start to get into a situation where I'm doing just a lot of mundane tasks, I feel like I need to go get medication and I drink way too much coffee just so I can focus, right? So I love
You drink
when
too much coffee anyway.
I do. It's right here, right? And we're out of like regular coffee, so I'm like this is like my second triple espresso. Um and so anyway, but yeah, and I also need, like at this stage of my life, I want to be solving problems with all of my experiences, right? So I want people, like I love right now, I do pre-sales engineering, solution design and implementation work in software. I wake up and my day is set for me. I've got a call with a client who's having an issue. I got a call with a new implementation and integration partner, and then I have a call with a salesperson who needs me to help kind of articulate what we could do for an organization, right? So my day is kind of mapped out for me and I have the knowledge to kind of jump in and solve those problems. So that for me, like the intellectual side of it, the trust, and then solving what I think are problems of the future. You know what I'm saying? What is our profession going to look like in 5 years? I feel like I'm there right now, so I'm fulfilled.
I
Not necessarily making the most I've ever made,
right.
but everything, the whole package, I'm
So you're
incredibly
fulfilled. You're
content and
fulfilled.
fulfilled, you
That's
know.
that's awesome.
But I fear in our state right now, like I said, there are people in our industry, and I think people are getting laid off in our industry right now at a high rate.
Mhm.
People are not getting hired back in, so we have a lot of people doing fractional work, right? So I think right now we're just having to take what comes to us as as an industry. A lot of us are just having to kind of keep the lights on while we figure out how to get back into that fulfilling role, you know? And
Yeah.
that's what I did all summer, right? I was like, I consulting was not amazing for me. Um, Financially, it was working, but it wasn't. I didn't like. I had 4 clients, and I like to really show off for one. I like. I want them to see, like, if they give me a task, I want to do it well. But when
Right.
I had 4 clients, it's like, I'm billing them this much. I need to do enough to not get fired this week. So they don't know how good I am. They just know that I kind of met the requirement, you know?
I feel that. I mean, I woke up this past week with that same feeling back when we used to write for source code, not because it was never like I want to write something to be cool, where it's like there's a problem, like I think I came up with the solution to a problem. Like passionately want to like disseminate the information. And as much as I mentally, because I am doing fractional work, looking at all those pieces, and you have to pull back with the company culture of what's going on, of what we didn't ask you to solve that problem. I know you want to solve it and you could solve the problem. This is the problem
Yeah.
we're looking at. Like that's so painful.
Yeah, but
And
you have to just look at it. And
you're
people be
like,
like,
I'm
"Did you
gonna
see what the CEO
like,
did?" It's like, "Yep, but he's paying me for 10 hours and I'm on
that's right.
8."
Bye.
Yeah, I'm on number 8.
But let
Yeah.
me tell you what happened last week. You'll love this. So doing work, right? Doing work. A client calls me. They're concerned. The CEO asked them to go into work while we were having snow again and it was freezing. And they, I was like, they were like, what would you have done? And I was like, well, it's really dangerous out there. I would take this as a day. I would get all the leaders, like we would do a Zoom call, we'd get all 500 people, we'd do breakout rooms, do training, understand, realign with the mission, pump it up, but like have everybody do work that we can never do because we're too busy at work. And I would not require, but I was not asked what my thing was, and I understand. Flash forward, literally 6 hours later, they were like, Jackie, there's an ambulance here. What? Yeah, a lady came to work and she fell outside. And now there's ambulances here, and the people that are here are threatening to leave. And she's got a broken arm. I was like, cool. Like, what are you doing for
You should have
comms?
called me yesterday.
Right. I was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing for comms? Oh, they're denying it. They're acting like it didn't happen. And I said, I already told you have 500 people. As soon as I was like, how many people came into the office on the corporate side? 2. I was like, at this point, I have to withhold all statements because you don't know
Yeah.
me that well, and I want to go off. But there's pieces of it. I think with technology, there's so much that we can automate that people sometimes forget the people behind it. Not in
Mhm.
the put the human back in HR way, but in the we're moving so fast. You've got to check in and see the people that you are hiring.
Yeah.
You know, I and
Yep.
I am I keep saying I was a big proponent of saying you need to hire for a culture ad, but more recently have said there is a fit that you have to be before the culture ad. Like
Mhm.
at a very bottom minimum, you have to, you know, align with our mission or our key values. There's something that you do have to have where the addition is not a distraction
Yeah.
and adding to everything.
Yep.
And because I think people take it too far and they hire all these culture ads and they don't know how to manage the mutiny that is going to for sure happen if you don't look at the fit part.
Yeah. No. So you are a very thoughtful person and you think about the employees and the culture. And I just realized my head always goes back to myself. And so I'm going to go ahead and own that before I make this statement.
Okay.
So, something that I had to process a lot over the last few years, loyalty was in the title of what we're talking about today. And I like loyalty,
Right.
but there have been several times in my career where I have been way too loyal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't know you're too loyal until you're doing the calculations on how long your severance check is going to
Yeah.
last. Do you know what I'm saying? And I know you've been there too, right? Like
Oh, fully.
you could be loyal to people and then not have any idea what's going on at your organization, and
That's
then
right.
what do you do, right? And so what advice would you give to kind of the individual, like if you're the the person wading through all of this economy and the changes with AI, the changes, we've got economic factors, we got technological factors, societal factors, right? Like there's just a lot of unsure things going on. So what do you say to people out there right now about loyalty?
No, I say that you should have no loyalty um, to an organization and have more of a loyalty to yourself, and be very clear about what those needs are. And I only could wish I was laughing at as you were saying, like I'm more empathetic and we handle things like differently. And I was like, and instantly I thought in my head, oh yeah, that's my part. Like that's why we work together well.
Mm-hmm.
And we also both have like severe ADHD, but we understand each other because we both talk in chunks. We can follow each
Right.
other, and we know where we're going, when we're having those.
This could be really scattered for the outside world to watch this
Yeah, they're
conversation,
probably
but
all
keep
going,
going.
I don't
Yeah.
know what they just said.
Yeah,
But
keep
but
going.
we track. But I think that I would say do that and find somebody, like that is also aligned in those same things, that you can partner together, and look for the individuals where you can build those friendships. I don't think, there are a lot of people that I do think that we have an interesting story because we have worked together so many times in different environments. And I think that it's a special relationship in that you can, what has happened is became a loyalty to each other more than like just a brand. Like it just is intensified so that you always have that partner. I think it's important to not isolate so much that you're not connected with your industry. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that I, I I I think it's really important to be careful. Like when I left, this is something that was interesting. When I left Textio, uh, somebody came up to me at a conference and said, "That was amazing what you were able to do for Textio." And I was like, I don't think, what are you referring to? Like, I'm not a software developer. Like, I'm not that. Like, this is the things that I'm responsible. And it was like, oh, but you like elevated the brand and had these different things, and it was able to see a very clear picture that left when you left. And it took me a long time to pause and sit on that, because is that too loyal to an organization where people see that and it's reflected, where other people want to be a part of that than something else. When you have something that deep, some part is not being fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe your own self-development. So that's why it's like, no, be loyal to you and your skills. No company's ever going to do that.
Yeah.
If you're a great widget twister and you twist the widgets faster than anybody else, a lot of organizations will keep you twisting that widget until it falls off. And so you have to
Yeah.
be the one to say, I mean, I think more people have to personally come up with their career plan and map it out. Now you've got Chat GPT, like really go in and find it and do it yourself. So I would say be careful being loyal to the brand, because look at
No, and
people, Microsoft. I mean, I know we're not going to talk about politics, but if you think about people that are loyal to a brand, understanding that you have a diversity and inclusion scenario, you love everything that's going on, and then you donate. The companies donate $1 million so for an inauguration, and you were loyal to that brand. Now you're aligned with that, whether you want to or not. And so
Yeah.
what do? Now you're no
Yep.
longer loyal to yourself. You're going against your own personal mission to have that fulfillment of family.
Yeah.
And, and I will tell you, that's the terrifying part when you get to our stage in career, because us working at organization comes with a brand and an understanding of the organization that you
Hmm.
are attributed to, right?
Yeah.
So you
No,
have to
it's
be
true.
careful, you know?
It's true. So when I think of loyalty, I think I like what you said. You got to be loyal to yourself and your family and to your employees. And it's interesting. I've worked at organizations that kind of hide you. Like, I
Yeah.
guess when I was a kid, my dad gave me a book. A kid, I was like 19 or so, and he gave me a book, and it was "Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty," and it was about maintaining relationships with people who can help you later in life. You know what I'm saying? And it's so I always kind of go back to that. I think everybody in our industry is pretty good at that, right? Like kind of building connections and maintaining those over time. I've worked at places where you weren't really allowed to go outside and speak publicly. They didn't pay for me to go to any events. They didn't pay for me to kind of maintain my relationships outside, right? And then when that rug got pulled out from under me, it was like, uh-oh. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, do these relationships all did I neglect these relationships for too long, right?
Right.
Did I hide out too long, right? And so I'm at a stage in my life, I was like, I don't think I'll ever sell out completely like that again, and
Mm-mm,
and
yeah.
and and let myself be kind of hidden, right? And I think something that's important from a leadership perspective with loyalty, over the years, like I've been at companies where, every 3 to 4 months you're doing a riff,
Yeah.
and I was always with a large team having to sit in meetings and kind of prepare people, tell them what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. And one of the things that I'm proud of that I did well, that I was thanked for, is being sure people understand, hey, Jackie, I think you're doing a great job. This is what I understand our mission to be. It's what I asked you to do. This is how you're doing. I want you to know there are economic things going on in the world. There are political things going on in every organization. I feel like based on what I know and the direction we're going and what I've asked you to do, you're delivering well. Does that mean that I can totally protect you from anything going on? No. Does it mean I have your back? Yes. You know, and I think I've been really good at that. I've reported to
That was
people who,
really good. That was like beautiful. That was like Hallmark level.
well,
Literally,
thank
that
you.
was great. No, no,
Well,
not
thank you. But no, I got really really good at being authentic to my employees while owning kind of the influence that I have. I can't save you.
right.
I can tell people how you're doing, and I believe that about you, and I support you, but that does not mean that I have a say in everything going on around me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I think people appreciated that, and it created more loyalty to the organization because I was being transparent. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like in these riffs, sometimes you're given, hey, I'm rating you like this, and I think you're doing a great job. This is what you can improve upon, right? Sometimes these riffs I don't actually control,
Right.
and I
Sometimes
don't know.
I mean, it's never like
It created loyalty to me, and I think it created loyalty to the organization because people were able to trust that their leader was at least telling them what they knew.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And kind of where my influence stopped,
you're
you
right.
know? And so I don't know, when it comes to loyalty and creating loyalty as a leader, is don't try to pretend you own people's destiny because you might not. I mean, unless you're the CEO. And even
Right.
then, I've reported to CEOs who are like, board's going to do what they're going to do. We just raised this much money, and they might tell me to hire somebody who has done this outside of our industry because they think they'll do it better than you, and I can't control that, and I appreciate that, you know.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't
uh
know.
I appreciate that. I realized for a while we would have I worked at an organization, we would go over the monthly report. Part of the monthly report was the finance, right? And like we would have the all hands meeting, and you'd have the sales report, and this is where we landed, and blah 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 blah. And then you would have these rifts like you're talking about, and employees being like, are we okay? Like, what's going on? Nobody told me. I feel so ghosted. And I'm like, dude, do you know how to read this?
Hmm.
You know what ARR is? Do you know what MRR is? No. I'm like, okay. So we went and spent a day going over the financial reports, going over the expectations, and going over
Hmm.
like the beginning of the year, the kickoff. Remember that? Where we said, this is where we said we were going to be. Remember that? Okay. So then we would have these all hand meetings, and they would go over the report. And then my meeting was after the report. Well, what
Hmm.
did we learn about that report? Like, and then some people, I was fully transparent. We already have the numbers. What do you think that the report says? Because we know what it means. And sometimes the answer was, I think we're doing pretty good. And some of them was like, oh, it doesn't look great. And then the next question is, what can we do to impact that number? We can hire the best people faster. We could do these things. These are the things that we can control. The other part we can't. And I remember the part where it's like, let's look at this. What did you learn in the meeting today? I have to start looking for another job.
Yeah.
It's like you
Well,
might
and that's
say that. Like
yeah.
some other people might say, I need to put my head down, right? So,
Hmm.
but you are in control of that. I will support you no matter what. I will never feel like somebody looks for looking for another job is no longer loyal to me as a leader, and do not expect that anymore. And I think there was a time where I wanted and appreciated that a amount of loyalty to me
You,
as a person.
me being loyal as a leader to other humans, the worst thing for me is if someone gets hit with an unexpected riff in this economy because it's going to take a while.
That's right.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, and so as a leader, if you're not kind of allowing people to explore, and if your company is reducing anyway, giving people the opportunity to and enough awareness that they can go find something, you're not being true to them, their families, your own self. You know what I'm saying? Like there you need to be transparent about those things. So what do you think? Okay, all these things going on. What do you think is leading to kind of the unsure tone for a lot of talent acquisition professionals right now? What is it? Is it economic? Is it technological? What are you hearing?
No, I think it's I mean, it's the same. I think it's this. It's just lack of a alignment and not a lot of clarity around systems. And I know, like, I'm a
Hmm.
systems thinker. Like, I didn't realize until I read like a 600-page book about system thinking that not everybody is a systems thinker.
Hmm.
I think we've gone so fast that a lot of people don't really understand the um the I don't want to use the word power, but the impact that you can have by doing this well, and not just putting butts in seats.
Hmm.
Like when we were in college, you remember getting your college roommate? Like, you remember freshman week? Like, you would go and I don't know, it was like a bingo ball. I don't know how the hell they picked your roommate, and you were like stuck with this person. I used to call my roommate Baptist Betty. Like, I went into my college dorm, and on the side were like all of these teddy bears and like calendars with teddy bears and like all of these things. And I was like, oh dear.
You're like, how did we get picked together? Can
Yeah.
I tell you
I
about
was
the day I met mine? I was at Orange, California, Chapman University, co-ed dorms, like
Ooh.
opened up to the swimming pool area. You know what I'm saying? Like it was very Southern California. So
I was like, you had to swim. I went to North Texas, which the campus, but
no, there's no
it's
pool.
not nice.
And so anyway, I go and I look like Spicoli. I had really long blonde hair. I don't think I had a shirt on even. And I walk up to my dorm door, and the first thing I had removed, because to open my hatchback, I had to take the long board off at the top of my car. So I had like an 8-foot surfboard, and I took it off the top of my car, and I was like, I'm gonna go put this in my room so I can unload my car. And I knock on the door, and my roommate opens it. A 6'3" black man holding a basketball, and then like a 5'8" long-haired kid with a surfboard, and he just started dying laughing. He had like this huge boisterous laugh. He goes, "What's up, roomie?" And he just kind of got out of my way, and I came in, and I had this like Grateful Dead Bob Marley tie-dye surfboard side, and then he had like Jordan posters
Right,
all
right,
over the other
right,
side. But to this day, that was like my best roommate ever. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like we had no mutual friends. Every time we were in the room, we were dying laughing, telling each other stories. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like 23 years old too. He had gone and lived a life and then went back to college. He was like the oldest guy in the dorm. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
But but yeah, to this day, I think he's posted on Facebook like 4 times, but he sends me private messages every time I do something. Every time a grandkid's born or somebody gets married, I get a message from Stan. But yeah, that was my freshman roommate. I have no idea how he picked it. I don't even know where you were going with that story, but
No,
that was
no,
fun.
no, where I was going is just like you didn't have any choice, and it was just like you thrown together, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But
Hmm.
now you have people that have these lifelong like good relationships. They learn about each other and families, and it's made a big difference,
Hmm.
like and where you do have more choice. And I think that you can look at those relationships and look at backgrounds and take the time when you do that, when you have a plan and you have a system and you have a goal, come out with better outcomes. Even though I don't know if we have opposite stories. I like ran as soon as I could away from my roommate and got a different roommate, but I was like,
Mine was awesome. Mine was my best roommate ever. Every roommate I ever chose, it was because we had something in common, and then they got on my nerves. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Well,
Like so yeah, that
I
was the
I want to do want to give a shout out to Joe saying it's a balance to be loyal to your work ethic without being loyal to the company. You take your work ethic with you no matter where you go. That's right.
yep,
I
yep.
think I think from the outset people would imagine that we were the most loyal people ever just because of the way that we work on an individual basis. Like we're not going to not work.
Hmm.
We're not going to, but we're doing the best work for ourselves, and
If
not,
I commit to it, I'm gonna do it.
yeah,
And then if I'm not gonna,
we do it
that
well.
that does drive me crazy. If you disengage, go get a new job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you
That's a
can't,
sign.
yeah. If you disengage and your work ethic slacks, I did work at a company once where I realized I was working really, really hard. And because of the systems in
Mhm.
place and the blockers, if I worked 55 hours a week and sourced my butt off and did everything that they wanted me to do, at the end in the reports, I looked like the people who sat there all week processing applicants.
Mhm.
Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? I mean, and it was one of those environments. I was like, no matter how hard I work, the system is built in a way that I can't push all of this work through to the end.
Right.
And so I did. I left that company because of that. I was like, because I'm not going to just stop working and sit here like the rest of the team.
Right.
So I need to go find something else. And
Right.
but yeah, it is, if you feel like you're disengaging, you got to have some pride in your own work ethic and
Yeah.
move on.
But
So
yourself, I mean, I think it was my sister, is an event planner and was talking to had a meeting doing some consulting work, and um they had hired her for like one conference and then asked her to do these various things, and she used to be an event planner for Robert Half, and the person was like, can I have your contact at such and such? And my sister was like, she called me right after, because this is not like Lauren. She told them, she goes, no, I'm not going to give you my contact there. And she was like, I worked too hard to build that contact and build on that relationship, to sacrifice it. Um, I'm going to do what I was hired to do, but
yeah,
that's not part of that. Like that you would have to work into that relationship, and and I really respected that, because you do owe it to yourself to know your value and worth, and keep that loyalty. I think keeping a loyalty to yourself will add to that fulfillment. That means that because you're responsible for your fulfillment too. I
oh
think,
yeah.
you know,
Jackie, we're getting close to the end. Was there anything else we were going to talk about that is important?
well, I do think it's I do think it's really telling. I'm gonna try not to cry in this moment. Now I'm pulling a John Baldino. Like, you get, like, the difference in being loyal and committed to people and relationships versus brand, like, or some of the people we're connected to. Like, I just think about 2025 for me. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and I'll never forget, like, people know, like, me, like, for a while we've known each other for so long. Jeremy and I used to talk every day, like, at 7:30 in the morning. Since then, I cannot wake up at 7:30 in the morning, and if the phone rings, I used to think it was my mom. She's now passed away. I know it's Jeremy. I will call you back.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but I sitting in the hospital room with my kid and my husband, like, the worst, the absolute, like, worst. And we were able to sit there and have a conversation, and we've always had those real conversations. And talking to Tin Cup, like, in the hospital, like, having a conversation, like, you can send flowers, you can send a gift card, you can do all of those things, but you realize in those moments, like, who is on your side and where your loyalty
Oh
lies.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And by the way, Jackie's the only industry person at my daughter's wedding, by the
That's
way.
right.
And so yeah. But
And I might be at the other ones, and where people are like, where I'll be like, I have something to say. Who are you again?
they're like, who's that? Right?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Um,
bawling, by the way. That's what Barry, when she got married, I was bawling, and people were like, how are you related? I'm like, oh yeah,
it was
coworker.
probably because I danced.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Um, so so yeah, you reminded me of like you're talking about Tin Cup and Jerry's in here, right? And it's interesting, like I work for startups in our space. I've worked for several.
Mhm.
And one of the conversations, I've had it with 3 CEOs. And one of the conversations is, I want to be really clear with you. You just got funding to build this product in my space.
Yeah,
When you have an exit, you're going to go do it again in another space.
right.
I'm still going to have to make eye contact with Jerry Crispin, Jackie Clayton, William Tincup, and all of our customers,
Yeah,
right? Like those are the ones I'm seeing right here in this chat, right? But these are my people once you're gone. Do you know what I'm saying?
that's
And
right.
so at all
Ooh, good one.
times, I'm going to be in this brand, but I'm connecting this brand to my people. And I can't, everything I say, like I'm going to hold you accountable because I don't get to go anywhere else.
Yeah,
This is my crew, right? You're going to go and you're going to say, I raised this much VC money and I made this much.
right,
And you're going to convince somebody to let you do it again. And you're going to drop in,
right.
like I'm not going anywhere. These are my people. Right. And so,
That's
so yeah,
good.
talking about loyalty, right, to your people, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to be loyal first. I'm loyal to brands as long as the brand is being authentic and honest.
Yeah.
The minute that breaks, I can't risk
Yeah.
having sold out to someone who's telling lies in our
Ooh,
space. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so
ouch.
that's that, and so that's kind of when I think about loyalty, it's like you got to be loyal to your brand, but you can't be more loyal to your brand than you are to the people you're taking the brand to, you know. Um,
That's
or that'll
good.
be really obvious.
Gosh, we always say this is the fastest hour in show business.
It's fun.
Well, I hope everybody. I am so glad. Thank you for pinch hitting. And I know it was like last minute. I am grateful for you and to our millions of fans joining us on But First Coffee. Please sign up so you can get notified when we go live. And I hope everybody's going to have a great day. Thank you, Jeremy.
Good to see you all. Thanks for including me, Jackie.